Hello again. Funny thing, every time I bring up gun control or mention firearms in general, usually related to something that's gone horribly wrong with a gun owner, I get, of course, the NRA types, the gun supporters, the right to bear arms people. And they leave messages and they tell me things like, I feel more comfortable having the protection of a gun. If the crooks have guns, we should have guns. If you outlaw guns, they're going to have guns anyway. I'd rather have the right to have a gun to protect myself. Gun. And that's a fairly fair argument for some people. Here in Australia we have pretty tough gun laws, so it's quite tough to actually have a gun. But of course most of my viewers are citizens of the proud United States of America. And of course their laws are a bit different. It's a bit easier to get a gun over there. In fact, I was just reading a story, actually I think I saw it on TV. I saw a story last night that a grandfather got his infant, this child can't even walk yet, shotgun for a present. And bought this infant a license, a gun license. So this infant, not even able to talk yet, can't even walk, has the equivalent capacity of a chimpanzee, now owns a gun and has a license to own that gun. And yet people come to me telling me that the gun laws in the United States don't need reform. Tell me, what is the exact reason why an infant needs to own a shotgun? Why is it even remotely legal for any child, regardless of their age? Anyone under 18, anyone under 21, whatever the drinking age is, or the age of consent for sex, the age where the government concedes that people are able to make their own decisions. Anyone under those ages shouldn't have a gun. The entire family's okay with this infant having a gun, and that's fair enough. That's their choice to make. It's completely legal. I'm not blaming them at all. Blaming the lawmakers. Shouldn't have been legal. Anyway, I'm getting off my point. My main point I'm driving at in this particular video is the other argument that I get when I talk about guns, and that is hunting. Now, hunting as an argument to be able to own a gun isn't so reasonable as far as I'm concerned, because there's no real need for it in the world we live in. You no longer need to hunt for sustenance. We've got butchers and we breed animals so we can feed on them, and there's a whole other issue there. But the fact is, you don't need to hunt for sustenance. Well, maybe you prefer meat that isn't tainted with hormones and antibiotics and all that sort of stuff. It's fine. There's a growing trade in completely organic butchers that sell more natural meat with no artificial additives and steroids and antibiotics and all that sort of crap that people are worried about tainting their meat. So the hunting for sustenance is out, and all you've got left is hunting for sport. Now, I don't disagree with hunting for sport. I don't think it's a sport as such, but that's just getting into pedantics. See, what you're really doing is hunting for fun. You're hunting because you enjoy killing things. And again, I'm not making a judgment on that. Some people think it's inhumane, or whatever arguments they want to, the greenie types want to use to argue against hunting and things like that. And I think it's part of our nature. It's built into our genes to want to enjoy that sort of thing. The old hunter-gatherer thing. And sure, there are other ways in today's world to get that fix without, hunting and killing little animals with guns. But, if you want to hunt, don't call it a sport. You're hunting because you enjoy killing things. Just be honest with that. Everyone's going to be much happier. Hunting with guns, though, seems a little bit unfair to me. There's no sport in that. And sometimes just hunting, you don't even have to track down the animal. You just basically pick somewhere and sit there and wait for an animal to come by. Duck hunting is a lot like that. You just, you sit knee deep in water, you blow on a little wooden whistle a few times to scare up the ducks, and you wait for one of them to take off into the air, and then you shoot it. There's no need for that. Shoot clay targets if that's the kind of test of your skill that you want, and shooting like that, it's a skill. But there's no point in killing a duck, shooting a duck with a friggin' shotgun just so you can feel all manly and skillful. I mean, you guys don't even go out and fetch your own duck. You send your dog in so you don't have to get your feet wet. Deer hunting for deer. Basically the skill there is to sit very still and be very quiet. Yeah, it's a real challenge, that one. Hunting with guns is bloody stupid, and you know it. There's very little skill involved that couldn't be exercised shooting inanimate targets. All you're doing is going out into the wilderness and sitting still for a while until you can kill something. Tell you what, if you really want to call yourself a hunter, if you really want to sort of have that pride in your work, feel good about going out and killing relatively defenseless animals, what you want to do is hunt with a bow and arrow, or a spear, or a sharpened stick, maybe a hefty rock. That way, there's a lot more skill involved. There's a lot more athleticism involved, because you've got to get close enough to the thing and chase it down and stab it or beat it to death or shoot it with an arrow. A lot more skill. If you enjoy killing little animals, do it in a way that you can feel proud of. Shooting with a gun is cheap. Anybody can kill something with a gun. And I mean anybody. That little infant I was talking about, that kid could kill something with a gun easily. Hell, there are paraplegics who could easily kill something with a gun. If you tied a piece of string to the trigger and stuck it in their mouth or something. Was that in bad taste? I think it might have been. Am I going to get letters about that? I don't know. I guess my main point is, if you hunt with a gun, you're a fucking pussy. Hunt with a tire iron. Put a laser scope on your bow and arrow if you really feel the need to be a little bit more cheap, because you're afraid you're not skillful enough to kill something that, requires a bit of work instead of just pointing a barrel and pulling a trigger. Hunt with a golf club if you really have to. Hunt with your left shoe. Hunt with the pointiest thing you can make out of Lego. Hunt with those impossibly hard kernels of unpopped popcorn that you get in the bottom of your bowl. Or hunt with the top of open tin cans and fling them like ninja stars. Hunt with half a house brick. Hunt with a Bible and convince yourself that you're doing God's work. Hunt with any toy that has a little warning label on it saying, "Warning, choking hazard for children below 3 years of age." Hunt using the broken shards of your self-worth. Hunt using the shock value of your tiny, tiny penis, which may or may not be the reason you felt it necessary to own a gun in the first place. If you hunt with a gun, don't talk to me. Catch you next time.